Hi, it's Mark here. Just another video for you. So what we're going to do is have a wee look at ratio, wee reminder, and we'll look at how we can use it proportionally to scale something. The topics that we're going to cover, let's have a wee look at the wee list here. So a wee reminder as to ratio as a fraction, scaling and proportionally using a ratio. What we'll do is we'll look at a ratio as a fraction or even a percentage. We'll look at some exercise and a bit of practice for thought for you. We'll have a two-way split using a ratio and a three-way split using a three-part ratio. Then tiny wee quiz at the end and a quick summary just to make sure that you're okay, and then you go away and practice. So reminder, ratio as a fraction. Now, if you've got more than one part, then obviously an example that I've got here for you is we've got 2 parts of blue and 3 parts of reds. So we've got 5 cars in total. There's 5 parts in total, shall we say. So you take it down to its smallest size, and in this instance, the smallest is that it's a ratio of 2 to 3. So what we can do is we can look at that as a part of the whole, which is 5 parts. So if we take the blue, as in the blue cars, we take them, so there's 2 parts of, and we need a total there of how many parts there would be out from, so we can work out that too. So in this instance, there's 2 parts and 3 parts of a total of 5. So it's 2 plus 3. So the numerator at the top, there's 2 parts of, the denominator at the bottom there, there's 5 parts in total. Therefore, it's 2/5. So in other words, like I said there's 5 parts in total. The blue accounts for 2/5 of all total, the total of all cars. So red accounts for 3/5 of the total of all cars, being the balance. Now we're going to have a wee look at the scaling using the ratio. So in this instance, it's quite easy because what we're doing is we're just saying that it takes us 50 minutes to walk 1 mile. So it's 1 mile for 50 minutes. So there's no real parts thereof apart from just the ratio of 1 to 50. So therefore we can write that as a fraction. If we put 1 over 50, just so that we can think of it in terms of a fraction as to what you do with one, you do with the other. So it's a scaling. You don't need to put it in a fraction. We know that it's 1 to 50. It's quite straightforward. There's no other parts thereof. It's just a straight ratio of 1 to 50. So scaling up is quite simple if we just actually scale it like so. So if we're going to say 1 mile takes us 50 minutes, so it's a ratio of 1 to 50. If we keep on walking at a constant rate, then what happens if we do 5 miles? So if we multiply that by 5, we get 5. Do it for the other side. So we multiply that by 5, gives us 250. So it's 5 times the amount of time, gives us 5 times the amount of mileage. It's proportionate to each other, based upon that ratio of 1 to 50. So if you take it down to a single unit of 1 being the unit there. Give this one a wee try. So when you're baking for more than 2 people and you want it to be relative to the increase, so in other words, the ingredients in the recipe tells us the ingredients that we've listed are for 2 hungry people. But what if we now have 5 hungry people? What is the ratio for to increase those ingredients within the recipe? So what's the ratio that we're working upon? So the original recipe would require 100 grams of sugar and 250 millilitres of milk. How much sugar is now required and how much milk if we're going from 2 people to 5? Pause the video, give it a wee try, and then come back for the answer. Do try it first though. Welcome back. So here's the answer. So there's the question. So 2 hungry people. So we're going from 2 people to 5 people. It's 2 different sums using the same 1 ratio. So the lowest form of the ratio for 1 person So if you bring it down, so we could say that it's 2 to 5, but remember, what is done on one side is done on the other. So we can bring it down to its lowest form there, and we can write it as 1 to 2.5. So if we're halving it on one side, we halve it on the other. So the sugar is 100 grams. If we multiply that by 2.5, then we're increasing it up by that amount. So it'll be 250 grams. If the milk was 250 millilitres, multiply it by 2.5, gives us 625 millilitres. So remember again, fraction used for a ratio. We can put a ratio into a fraction, but do remember that if you've got more than one parts in this, you've got to think about the total number of parts. So if there's 2 to 3 in terms of blue cars to red cars, then what we'd have to do is think that that is the total. So if we're working on the part of there, so it's a part of a fraction, so it's a part of the total. So therefore, we would work it this way. So you get 2 plus 3 gives us fifths, so it's 2/5. How do we convert that into a decimal? If you can't remember, look back on previous videos, have a wee look at the video tutorials, and but I'm going to tell you anyway. So that's right, you divide the top number by the bottom number. So it's 2 divided by 5. That would give us 0.4. We could, if you remember percentages, to get that as a percentage, multiply it by 100. You just move the decimal place. So therefore it's 40%. So if we're still looking on the basis of that ratio of 2 to 3, so if the car showroom now has 200 cars, what's the quantity of blue cars? Well, we've just worked out it's 40%, 0.4. So multiply 200 by 0.4, 80 blue cars out of the 200 total cars. So if we look at a two-way split using the ratio, so let's split £180 using the ratio of 2 to 3. So it could be that there are different courses and so on. So step by step for you here. So again, we'd have to add up the total amount of parts. So there's 5 parts in total. And what we want to do is to find the value for one part. So therefore, the £180 total with 5 parts gives us £36 per part. So therefore, if we're working it out for the first one, so it would be 2 times the £36 gives it for 2. So for the 2 part, it's £72. For the 3 part, it's £108. And we check that by working on the £72 plus the £108, and we just check the total. So it's a check. For a 3-way split using the 3-part ratio, so in this instance, we're splitting £210 using the ratio of 42 to 1. So again, what you've got to do is to find out what it is for the individual parts. So there's total parts is your 4 plus your 2 plus the 1. So there's 7 parts in total. And then all we do is we divide the £210 by the 7, gives us £30 per part. So the first share of 4 parts would be a 4 times £30, which is 120. 2 parts is 2 times 30, and the 1 part left over is your 30. Always do a nice wee check everything at the end, just to make sure. So consider these ones. And what you can do is pause, give it a wee try. I'm giving you some hints there as well. Pause the video, do your calculations, then come back and just check at the end. So welcome back. Here's the answers with the explanations. And again, so all you're doing is splitting it down and taking it back up again. So have a wee look over and just enjoy that. Thanks very much. Bye just now.